welcome back to my channel. This is Alex of Coyote Astrology, and this is my video for the full moon in Taurus lunar eclipse coming in on October 28th, 2023, which is a Saturday here in California. However, please do adjust for your current location on the planet as that time and date may change. So the days leading up to the eclipse have been a little tense, a little edgy. I actually want to go back quickly and show you why that is. Yesterday, on Thursday, October 26th, the moon was in Aries, and it made some stress aspects yesterday. Moon crossed asteroid Lucifer, crossed Chiron in Aries, and today, as I film this video, the moon is in between Chiron and the North Node. Talk about a rock and a hard place. So today is feeling pretty uncomfortable to me as I film this on October 27th. And it's understandable. Let's break this chart down and then we'll get to the full moon eclipse and the release point tomorrow. So, moon at the North Node. This can be uncomfortable because the North Node represents a new evolutionary growth point or a change that needs to be made that the soul is learning how to make. It doesn't know how to do it yet. The North Node represents something that is unfamiliar, but that we are being pulled magnetically towards because the North Node is sort of like the gate of our destiny. But in order to get there, we have to release something, which is the South Node. So moon at the North Node has us thinking typically about changes that we need to make in order to reach our destiny, which requires us again to release something, but especially the case when Pluto is square the nodes, which it has been for what feels like forever, many months now. And so that means that every soul has to make this phoenix process happen for themselves in order to get to the North Node. They have to basically die and be reborn. And then when they finally get to the North Node, they run right into Chiron. And so the moon right now is at the North Node, in between Chiron, which is this like tender place, while it's about to be squared by Pluto. So yeah, today, Friday, is kind of like, oh God, we're about to go over the falls of this eclipse and a lot is coming up. And so to just finish with talking a little bit about Chiron's role at the North Node, because I think that it's a huge energy right now and it's only going to get stronger as Chiron and the North Node get closer and closer together. What that tells me is that each soul on the planet is being magnetically pulled towards a new horizon, to the North Node in Aries, to a new level of their personal identity, towards more personal freedom, more boundaries, saying yes to themselves, filling their own cup. But that there's something a little bit painful about the direction that they're going at the same time. And that in order to say yes to what they inwardly know they must do, they have to face some pain. Because Chiron is a very tender area of the chart. When I feel Chiron's energy, when it's activated in my own chart, I physically feel it actually in my chest. It feels like a tender wound. And we have to give attention to Chiron just how we would a wound. We have to take care of it, pay attention to it, dress it, give it space to heal, right? So this is a tough spot for us all right now because it's like whatever is on the horizon for each one of us requires being honest that we have to make some sacrifices to get there or release our grasp on certain things to get there that we probably don't want to let go of, you know? A lot of that has to do with relationships, of course, because the South Node is in Libra. And even if we stay in our relationships and we are able to bring them with us, some will make it, obviously. I'm not going to say goodbye to everybody. But even the ones we bring with us are going to go through some changes. And anybody that will tell you that's been in a long-term relationship or friendship, to make it long-term with someone, you have to be able to withstand dying and being reborn with that person many times. So this can also be positively a phoenix moment for relationships where you do make it on the other side of this and you enter a deeper level of intimacy with that person. But a lot of people will see relationships that are not in alignment with the North Node spinning out the back end. And this eclipse might be sort of like a big purging of that process. I really hope there's like this gigantic work truck right outside my house that's been idling as I've been filming this video. I've been really hoping that it's going to move, and I really hope that when I edit this, you can't hear it. Anyways, so let's talk about this eclipse tomorrow. All right, so the moon will be at 5 degrees Taurus in opposition to a fuck ton of Scorpio. So full moons are always a release of energy, or like a buildup and a climax and a release of tension, while symbolically the light of the moon lights up something that we need to see. And then there's like an energetic release or celebration. This chart, not so much looking like a celebration, not gonna lie. And this one is particularly intense because it is happening in Scorpio season and it's an eclipse, and eclipses happen at the nodes. So eclipses always bring up a big quantum leap moment evolutionarily for each person. So more generally, this eclipse is igniting or illuminating something we all need to see, positive or negatively, and asking us to release something and step into a new level of our own personal evolutionary growth. We look at the chart to find out what it is we're being asked to release and what might be illuminated. So back here at the South Node, that's where things are released. And we have all the Scorpio energy. South Node is in Libra, so there will be a lot of release around certain energy dynamics. I know I've said this a million times, but I always get someone in the comments commenting if I don't say it, so I'm going to say it again. This is not just romantic relationships. If you are single, that does not mean you are left out of this. Libra is about our relationships with other people. All the Scorpio back here at the South Node would highlight a need to release relationships that embody the shadow aspect of Scorpio, or even relationships that bring that shadow aspect out in you. It's a two-way street. Takes two to tango. In fact, this chart, one of the things I really like about it, although it's not a very easy chart to navigate, this chart really reminds in a beautiful way that we need to notice where we may have fallen from grace, where we may have fallen far from our heart. And this chart reminds that we need to be the bigger person in these times and really hold on to our virtues. While so much shadow, look at all this Scorpio, while so much shadow is being illuminated in the world. So back here with the Scorpio energies, one thing that we do see around the eclipse is that communications may become intense. That is because Mercury and Mars are close together on Saturday. They actually make an exact conjunction on Sunday, the day after the eclipse. That's another thing I wanted to mention in this video, guys, that We're in pretty intense energies all the way through first part of November because we're in Saturn station energies. But first, Mercury-Mars conjunctions. This is where we have to be really mindful of how we communicate, because Mars is the planet of war. It can become aggressive, feisty, angry. The shadow of Mars is rage. It's particularly strong in Scorpio, which it traditionally rules. And then Mercury is our planet of communication. So this roughly breaks down to words of war or aggressive words, intense words, and then guess who's right across the way, just to make things even more dramatic? Jupiter is in opposition, which will magnify these Scorpio energies. So this can be an explosive conversation for some that will serve to release some of this energy. And for many, they will potentially just have inwardly an acceleration of Scorpio energies in general. So anyways, back to the South Node and the Scorpio energies around it. This is highlighting a need to release relationships or heal through relationships that have thus far or in the past been embodying the lower dimensions of Scorpio. So anything that was not honest, transparent, anything that was manipulative or toxic or not healthy for you. And of course, this could also go for just habits in general. All of that is ready to be released, but it might have to be illuminated this full moon eclipse, so you know exactly what it is you need to release. So yeah, it really is this just, the whole collective purging thing just keeps coming up for me right now. There's a lot boiling to the surface. And across the way, the full moon in Taurus has a lot to do with illuminating our self-worth and maybe illuminating financial realities for a lot of people. And the two are very much interconnected in astrology. Venus rules both our self-worth and our financial stability and security. Let's go to the tarot. Sorry to say, not the most uplifting cards in the deck. It's been a theme the last few videos. So the first card for the first decan of Scorpio, which is honestly a pretty extreme energy in this chart because we have 3 planets in Scorpio. This is the 5 of Cups. So look at this poor crow. He's looking down at his 3 cups that have fallen over, and he's obviously not very happy about it. This can be a card associated with disappointment at the very least. Things maybe didn't go as well as you had hoped. It can be a card associated with sadness and loss, grief, tragedy, sorrow, or concentrating on loss or concentrating on the past. And that's sort of illustrated here by the fact that this crow actually does have 2 cups still, but he's clearly giving attention to the ones that have fallen over. So that's an interesting part of this card. I think it's interesting that this is the card associated with the planets back on the South Node, which also relates to the past. So you can see that this eclipse is asking us to release these parts, particularly around relationship, that have led to disappointment and that don't make us happy. The card for the moon, or the first decan of Taurus, is the 5 of Pentacles. Now, this is a difficult card as well. It's a difficult card financially because this card either has to do with financial loss, scarcity, poverty, or financial hard times, or the fear of scarcity or a fixation on the material, like a fear that you don't have enough or that you will not have enough. So you can see the crows on the ground, they're sort of scrounging for food, and there's these crows up in the tree that are sort of like hoarding what they do have, right? Okay, so these cards together, not really like the most uplifting cards, but I do feel like they do realistically display big energies in the world right now. Lots of grief in the world right now. Lots of fear around finances due to changes that are happening globally. That's a reality of the situation. However, I did want to pull another card, frankly, because I was kind of like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with that? So I pulled the card for Jupiter because Jupiter is nearby. Now, Jupiter is retrograde, so that is also contributing to some hard financial times for people because Jupiter, the benefic in Taurus, which is actually a, frankly, beautiful placement that I have been doing lots of webinars around quantum creating and things like that. However, Jupiter is retrograde where he's not going full power forward. So it can be a time where financial things start to slow down. We can't push forward as powerfully as before. That will change when Jupiter goes direct auspiciously on December 31st. Happy New Year, or the Gregorian year. Anyways, I digress. I'm going off on a tangent. Let's talk about the card associated with Jupiter in the second decan of Taurus. I really like this card. So this card, this is the Six of Pentacles. And I love what the artist did here because it perfectly illustrates what this card governs. So the Six of Pentacles is a card definitely better financial standing than the Five of Pentacles before it. It is a card about karma and charity, gratitude, generosity, support, and having a good relationship with not only money, but the ebb and flow of giving and receiving. So it can be a card about rewards and fairness. So here we see illustrated, there's these crows down on the beach or whatever, and they're obviously in a place of scarcity. They need food. And then we have this crow that has resources, that is bringing it down to share. And he's holding the scales of justice, reminding us of the karma and the ebb and the flow of giving and receiving. So this is a card of virtue that has this kind of what goes around comes around essence to it, that draws our attention to not only virtue, but the wheel of samsara and karma in general. And I think that it's very interesting that that card is placed here on the chart across from all the darkness, across from all of the shadow in the chart. And again, the shadow in the world right now that is being so dramatically displayed macrocosmically, it really also carries with it the lesson that on the microcosmic level, being that we're all smaller parts of the greater whole, we're seeing shadow illuminated in ourselves and outside of ourselves within our relationships as well. This card, the Six of Pentacles, reminds us to be the bigger person, to not fall victim to scarcity or the things that others have done to us, the places we've been wounded in the past, that we let ourselves become hardened. When we come back to the chart, I did pull one more card, which is the card for Venus, because she is the ruler of the chart. It's a full moon in Taurus, right? And lo and behold, Venus is trine that card for Jupiter, the Six of Pentacles that we just went over. Now, Venus and her card, this is the Nine of Pentacles. This card associated with financial independence, abundance, self-sufficiency, financial plenty, and above all, the wealth of self-worth. So this chart suggests that if we stay in that more charitable, giving, altruistic place associated with the Six of Pentacles, we will experience the frequency of self-worth, regardless of how that might actually be playing out in our bank account or in our life at the moment. If we fall back in the energies of Scorpio, it's not going to be good and it's not going to feel good. And we're going to actually have it pull us away from the more benefic energies associated with Jupiter and Venus. So protect your energy right now, you guys. I think it's a good time to cut cords where they need to be cut with grace. In other words, there is a way to get your point across while staying in the heart. And there's a way to end things and move forward without being volatile. And what with what is happening in the world right now, the more we can stay in those higher vibrations at the moment, the better. We don't want cracks in our armor. We don't want to lower our field at this time. And you guys know I'm not a spiritual bypassing all love and light person whatsoever. I'm very comfortable and integrated in my shadow. That being said, there are times, and this is one of them, where there are a lot of dark forces at play in the world that are trying their hardest to get the upper hand. And this spread is a time when you want to have your shield up, and you want to have that up by raising your frequency through love, forgiveness, and taking the high road, being the bigger person. That's really what this chart communicates to me. All right, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. If you've enjoyed this video, please do give it a like and a share. I really appreciate it. If you would like to reach out to me for a reading, you are more than welcome to do so. And you can reach out to me at my website, coyotestarastrology.com. And you can follow me on Instagram at Earth2Coyote for more astrology. All right, everyone, have a beautiful and safe eclipse. Bye for now.